Hi everybody, Puffin here. Thanks for tuning in. I just finished making a video about the idea that Antifa people had infiltrated the Trump riot and caused the Trump riot, which is complete bullshit. But I did want to just go ahead and address who really is Antifa. And so I figured, since Antifa is not an organization and there's no master list of who is in Antifa and who isn't, I would have to take a different approach, and I happen to be wearing my Antifa party hat for the last 24 hours, which is now down to like last, 18 hours or something, of Trump. We don't have very long to go before we get a new president and move past this super fascist era. And that's why I'm wearing my Antifa party hat. It's also a sorting hat, Antifa sorting hat. So this hat gives me the magic power to sort out who is Antifa and who isn't. And I'll start with this simple, basic rule. Everyone is Antifa. So this is just something that Antifa is something about having a heart. Everybody has a heart at their heart. That can be covered over, or people can be misled and go off in these heartless directions. But everyone really does have a heart at their heart. So everyone's heart's together. It's all Antifa. There's there's people who, think they're against Antifa. They're against themselves. They're against humanity in this sense. They're against nature in this sense. And they actually are against humanity and nature and themselves and everybody when you look at what other things they believe. That's fascism. It's just bad and wrong. And that's why Antifa is the natural way. Now, beyond that, who are the Antifa leaders? And a similar point, everyone is an Antifa leader. You are your own leader in this journey of your heart, of finding out who you are and awakening your heart to the world, getting more of you out of you to help the world. So everyone's their own leader in Antifa. Are there people who are luminaries who have helped guide this thing? Sure, and have been throughout history. Now, one of the favorite phrases of the right now is to say that George Soros funds Antifa and sends Antifa people checks and stuff. And if he sends money to Black Lives Matter organizations or whoever he might send money to, great. And if he is some type of Antifa hero, thank you, George Soros. Thanks for helping Antifa in whatever way you do. But to suggest that he's kind of the king of the whole thing, or like it's some like nefarious plot, is just what they're afraid of. And the other favorite thing of the right to say is get a job. They'll see these protest videos and they'll tell everybody to get a job. Well, it sounds to me like if George Soros is funding these people, as you suggest, paying them to protest, well, that sounds like a job to me. So, like, are y'all just trying to find something to whine about? Because, which one is it? Are you mad about people not having a job, or are you mad about the job that they have being paid protest as far as you believe? So, get over yourselves. And people have beliefs that actually make them join protests. Now, if people fund organizations, again, good. But just as George Soros might be some type of hero for giving some millions to different organizations, so are all the people of America who are donating to Black-owned businesses or donating to these organizations, doing things to do their part, and that all adds up to more than whatever George Soros is doing anyway. Everybody plays a role in this, is my point behind saying that everyone's a leader. And whether, maybe you don't donate any money, but if you even leave comments of support, if you share videos or share messages in social media and you show support and raise awareness, it all helps. And it helps when you raise your own awareness and find even more things to do. So now on to the sorting hat. Antifa sorting hat, doxing the real leaders of Antifa. I'm going to start with one that people have probably heard of more than even the others, and that's Jesus. Jesus is Antifa. Everything about Jesus is Antifa. He stands for forgiveness of yourself and of others, with the ultimate goal of protecting and helping the weak, the disadvantaged, treating others as yourselves, and especially the least of these, the least of others, as yourself. Everything I can think of that Jesus did was Antifa. with one exception that pops to mind of the Syrophoenician woman, whom he rejected with kind of a racist and classist and hierarchy, saying, "Hey, we're the better people, you're not worthy," kind of statement, which she came back to somewhat accept, to say, well, even the dogs, I think he called her a dog, and she said, well, even the dogs can eat the crumbs from the master's table, which is either witty, maybe he felt outwitted or was educated in that moment. And so as much as Jesus, from even early life and all his life, everything he stood for, everything he's about, up to that point was already Antifa, he's still exhibiting some of the fascist proclivities of the day to say something kind of racist to this lady for being Syrophoenician. And when she proves her intelligence or worthiness or proves him wrong, in that moment he learns. And so that's a good thing to remember about being Antifa too, that even for the people who are naturally or cosmically positioned to be, some of the best, most guiding lights of Antifa in the universe, grow and progress in that journey themselves. So, plenty of the other things Jesus did were Antifa, throwing over the money changers' tables in the temple. The one thing that maybe could also be interpreted as promoting or okay with fascism is his statement that you give unto God what is God and give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. I think these type of things have all sorts of context, and you're dealing with people who are revolutionary, such as Judas, within the whole Jesus movement at the time, and he's dealing with different forces and saying things in certain ways to within a fascist regime. We're in the same place. Sometimes people have to be careful what they say or make certain choices. But I don't think that anything that can be seen as promoting or succumbing to fascism from Jesus in any way diminishes or tarnishes his position as an anti-fascist and the one who has inspired so many anti-fascists and so many other loving expressions throughout history. So I think that's a good place to start. Another one that some people maybe believe in more than Jesus and some people less, is Santa Claus. Santa Claus is extremely Antifa. Just wants to give everything away for free. Wants to try to reward goodness. So, that's something that Santa Claus is known around the world and is always about, joy, being jolly, being happy and kind, and is always part of that spirit of giving and sharing and communion. So Santa is a very Antifa leader. Another thing about Santa is there's very many different forms of Santa, and probably always have been, some of which are known historically. The one that I'm super excited to have learned about just in recent years is the very first Christian Santa. And the reason I say first Christian Santa is I presume there have been Santa characters prior to Jesus as well. But the earliest one in the time of Christ would have been a lady who, when the three wise men were going through her town, she was the wise woman of her town, and they invited her to go with them to visit Jesus and bestow gifts upon him, as they were going to do. But she said, I'm too busy with my community here, I can't go with you. And then she regretted that decision, so every year after that, she gave presents to every kid in her town in honor of the birth of Jesus, and to make up for the present she couldn't give him, which to me is the very definition of the first Santa, and includes the whole trans issue within Santa, Antifa, all of these things. If I could mention someone else, for me personally, Lady Gaga represents the goddess. But when we're from the goddess, Mother Nature, the goddess that takes on every form, but the goddess that is exemplified in certain forms. Mother Nature is one that many people are aware of and can identify with. But every form of the goddess, because even Mother Nature is something that as much as we have a consensus or a common awareness of Mother Nature. It's not like a common topic of discussion that everyone feels the same thing about, which is cool. It's not like other religions that insist on, hey, this is the way to feel about things. But within people's religiosity, the goddess has, overwhelmingly and, around the world been suppressed to different degrees, and especially in these patriarchal and fascist societies. So reawakening the goddess, reconnecting with the goddess is with love, nature, again, goodness. These things are essentially anti-fascist. And so the goddess in all these different forms, and it doesn't have to be a female form, but it is particularly exciting when women take up expressing these ideals in anyone. But especially, you have these powerful celebrity women who are taking up these causes and making expressions and helping raise awareness and galvanize support for things. So I would be wrong to leave out the goddess, and there are probably some very good examples. There's good examples within our political spectrum. Bernie is a good anti-fascist. The Squad are good anti-fascists. Any of these people that the right are particularly scared of are obviously good anti-fascists in spreading awareness and leadership for anti-fascists around the world, and especially here in America, where we kind of need it the most. We've kind of gone the furthest off the deep end recently toward fascism, or at least in this accelerated way. Maybe other countries have been pretty bad off, but and that's all stuff that's been there for a long time in America too. It's not like, Trump just turned on the fascist switch. It's been there for a long time. But because it's been so accelerated, we actually now have the time to stop it. So I think that actually helping to identify who these prominent anti-fascists are will bring out more spirit of anti-fascism in everyone. Another one that comes to mind is Buddha. The Buddha teaches that we are dissatisfied in life. There's a dissatisfactoriness in life. It's misunderstood to think that life is suffering. That's not the first noble truth, but there is a dissatisfactoriness, and it comes from the grasping nature of desire. Desires are okay. Like, everyone desires a better world and a better life, and that's good. But when you think, hey, this is the only way to it, I got to make $1 million, I got to get to the top of this company, or I got to subjugate these people. When you think those types of things, and that's your path, and you grasp onto that instead of being able to give that, wait, that's not the way to do it. That's where the suffering comes from. If you genuinely just want the best for yourself and for everyone, that'll come, and we can all work on that together. But for some people to insist that only they should have the best, to make sure that other people can't even have what they basically need, that's the problem. And it goes against every religion. It goes against every good teaching and every good movie and everything we've ever had. So when we look at it that way, and we see that anti-fascism as being, the heart of all of our lives coming to life and coming together, then we're going to fashion a new world without fascism. We're taking out the fash. And this is the last day of Donald Trump, but hopefully it can be the last day in this long course of fascism corrupting our society and lives. And we can really go the other direction far enough to see the benefits of living completely without it, completely to the ideals that everyone deserves fair and good treatment, and that we can all get along and lead good lives. So thank you for watching, and leave in comments below more suggestions of people who have inspired you. I would also be wrong if I didn't include Jerry Garcia. Jerry Garcia has definitely been a great inspiration to me in being against fascism and for freedom of thought and expression. And I'll have to think some more and maybe make something specially for him. But for everyone who's always inspiring us, thank you. And for everyone who hasn't got it yet, think about who, maybe even people that you do admire, what they're really saying, if it could be part of the same thing, and even things that you say to yourself, or things that, people in your life have said to you. If there could really be the same thing, this core to it, and we're just missing out by believing some misguided things. So let's stop the fascism, and let's get back to love and goodness. Thanks, and thanks for watching, and tune in again next time.